creations. And then we wanted the site, and we engaged directly with site, and we created these are sand cast forms. They're not painted yet, they're drying as they're primed, of various species that they have on the property or that they interact with as an institution.
What do you use?
So this is called papercrete.
What papercrete?
Yeah, so you take waste paper pulp and mix it in with a cement mix.
And these were outdoor sculptures, so
yeah.
The durability of this material, they were really good.
For decades, you know.
It's like concrete. It's like concrete.
It's like concrete.
And it's DIY, like you can make it.
Yeah.
But you need to treat it with chemical. I'm sure you need to treat it with some stuff.
You should give it a clear coat. That's to protect the paint, but not the sculpture itself.
Well,
so this is then we're really lucky.
And the learning possibilities are infinite. Right? I mean, you can really mold it. It's malleable. It's almost like clay, but permanent clay.
But we cast it into sand.
Okay.
Sort of like clay. Not entirely, a little different.
So modeling is slightly stiffer.
Yeah. Because of the paper pulp, modeling becomes a little difficult.
So it is paper pulp, like
paper
mache.
Yeah, exactly.
It is that.
And then it's poured into these sand cast forms. So you carve the negative out of the sand.
And you treat the cast surface through something like to make it more compact, or so that the shape doesn't change.
Yeah. So what you do is you wet the sand, and you have to make sure that you sort of pile it down like properly, beat it down. So all the sand molecules and pieces, they're like nicely compact and it's wet, slightly wet and moist and damp. So when you do your carving, it doesn't fall in.
Yeah, no, but I can understand that for like simple shapes, like simple turtle form. But if you talk about like detailing, like you can do details with this.
You can press your own face in and get a proper listing of your own face.
Very nice.
You won't get the beard itself, but
yeah,
you will get your face.
Yeah, the beard might get the sand won't get the beard.
Yeah.
What's that? Can you see that?
Yeah,
holding the frame.
I'll go back to that in 1 second. So we were really lucky. Arnab and I, we love these white forms, just these pure white forms, especially in the night. And one of the directives from the client was they needed this facade to pop out because they're really unnoticed as a space. It's on the East Coast Road between Chennai and Pandi, actually Chennai and Mahav. And people drive by and don't know. They get a lot of visitors, but there's a ton of, it's people who know about the space, schools and stuff like that. But they want to encourage a wider audience to stop by and visit the space and develop this understanding of reptiles and the role in the environment and all that stuff. And so in that sense, we were like, wow, these white forms are so beautiful and they will pop off of this background because the background is a canopy of neem trees. And so one of the things they were really pushing, even though they asked this outcome of us, was to be very realistic in our forms, that they speak to the actual nuances of each species. It's not just a somewhat lizard species, it's actually like anatomically correct. So they're asking us to paint them in a realistic fashion, and one night Arnab and I were like having a whiskey late at night and kind of, what do we do, man? Because we don't want to paint them this way. And we kind of
really... They would have been completely dull and wouldn't have come out.
Yeah, absolutely. This
So we were like, we need to do something really bold and graphic.
Can you do that frame?
Yeah, I'll go back. So that's the other one. So fortunately, the founder of this space, Ron Whitaker, came by the next day, and he's kind of in this really like benevolent grandfather space. So we proposed the idea to him, like, can we do these really graphically and bold because it's not going to sort of speak to the audience, and he said go for it. So we were so excited. Arnab led this whole painting expedition. I don't have any of these skills. And so these were some of the outcomes of that, using the color palettes that are there, but in a very bold, graphic fashion.
Paints? These are the wall paints, like the exterior paint, actual paint. So these are used for painting walls, outside walls.
So this is
weatherproof in that.
Cayman. This is Cayman.
Yeah, this is came into this.
And it has a tendency to turn red.
Towards the head.
Yeah, towards the head. So, flying lizard, eggs. So yeah, so that, I'll show you the final photos in 1 second. The other medium that we were using, I actually don't know if I have as much documentation.
Frame.
Yeah. So we did wireframe sculptures and then mixed media on top of them. So one student was sort of obsessed with the cobra. He's extremely talented. And so he kind of pushed this cobra form through to a really beautiful outcome. Other people worked on it as well. Hey, go back to that. There we go. So this is kind of midway where they've created the form, and then we're using waste materials from the space, cane, and some metal sheet, because we needed something to contrast the dullness of the other materials to render the form of this cobra. So this is kind of our making space.
And this is, I think, like till now, like my experience with design class has been the most like crazy intense work experience.
I've met so many people who have come from the rock band, and they were like, oh, some of the world.
It was actually a little crazy.
Yeah, working on like that was a different scene.
Yeah.
It was how it needs to be. So.
but the thing is, the work was so huge.
Yeah.
There was so much that we had to do that we went into a complete factory mode.
Yeah.
Work did not stop. People slept in shifts.
So then we had to do a really quick install. So we weren't able to create the framing. So this has been installed on the facade. So we did these crocodiles that you can see are like coir rope woven in the frame, cane for the limbs, painted. This is a mugger crocodile.
Metal sheet for the back and
bamboo pieces for the head. And then this is a Gadiel on alongside the road. This is the series. So that's kind of what it looks like.
at night without any kind of light.
So, I mean, in a sense, I mean, the thing is that our content was very easy. It was very explicit and clear. We didn't have to spend a lot of time conceptualizing what our content was. Our technique, we had to spend a lot of time developing. We really focused on this intensive workshop for 2 weeks, where we built up a skill set as a group to do this steel frame forming and the sand casting. And then we had a little bit of a break, and we returned to the site, and it was amazing the growth to see in the students, that they were able to take ownership of the creative process because they were so well versed by this time that it was really just a dialogue with them and sort of making space for them to achieve these outcomes. It wasn't us. We were no longer teaching. Very early on in the rock band. So, I think that's what I urge, in this semester for you guys, is that you spend a good bit amount of time engaging with the technique and kind of frame it in your timelines. The experimental phase, go back into design, and then an implementation phase. So you have design, then an intensive experimental phase, then a kind of revisiting the design process, and then an actual installation phase. It's a suggestion.
No, I mean, I think from our perspective, I remember that Arnab wasn't in the class, but Jackson had come, I think, around the time of the first seminar, one of your primary recommendations was that, we should have started working materially and formally way earlier than we had. And I think therefore the logic of having the two of you to come and, be part of Art and Transit this semester, where hopefully for those few who want to continue having a sense of material exploration, they could constantly sort of, come back to you with conversation, dialogues, if they're stuck somewhere, for example, understanding techniques even, but not taking too much of your time and respecting your schedule. I think that becomes very important.
Unfortunately, it requires intensive facilitation, which I'm not going to be around enough to do.
Yeah.